Assalamualaikum Bu Baby.
Waalaikumsalam Bu Yaya, udah makan siang.
Alhamdulillah. Terima kasih udah hadir ya Bu.
Nah, terima kasih ya Bu, kiriman makan siangnya. Hmm,
Iya, sama-sama.
Yudi. Assalamualaikum Mas Yudis.
Apanya? Nggak ada ya? Ada suaranya. Tapi kok, halo Bu Baby.
Halo, ya.
Nah, ada apa? Halo. Oke.
Kecil ya, Pak Yudis ya suaranya ya Pak?
Ya, ini coba saya besarkan dulu suaranya. Oh, ya, saya besarkan dulu. Ya. Bisa kedengaran ya Bu ya?
Kedengaran Pak, kedengaran.
Oke. Bang Rido kedengaran?
Kedengaran Pak Yudis.
Oke. Tinggal, ini sebenarnya sudah masuk ya acara-acara sekalian. Oke. Oke. Konsen bareng. Konsen. Dan udah bisa mulai belum? Halo, Zan. Oh ya, ya, oke, nggak apa-apa. Ya jelas itu apa aja ya. Ya, oke. Hmm.
Oke, Pak Yudis, dengar suara Fauzan,
Ya,
Pak?
dengar,
Assalamualaikum.
dengar.
Jelas ya, Pak? Oke, oke.
Ya,
Oke, makasih banyak. Dok, itu tadi gimana ya? Kita ini aja dulu. Ya, baik, Bapak Ibu, kita akan mulai sebentar lagi ya, karena ada informasi dari asisten profesor, sedang ada technical issue. Jadi minta waktunya beberapa menit lagi, karena memang harus kita mulai setelah keynote speaker yang
Assalamualaikum.
masuk. Oh, waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Ya,
wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ya,
Apa kabar, Prof?
alhamdulillah baik. Ada tetamu tadi, biasalah kan?
Oh iya iya.
Oke, oke.
Oke. Apa? Eh,
Ya. Cumi.
Mahasiswa sudah. Bagaimana Bu Baby? Sudah mulai kita mulai? Ibu
Ya,
Yaya?
silakan. Pak
Silakan saja.
Fauzan.
Kita mulai saja ya, Prof.
Ya,
Baik. Ya, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ya, very good afternoon and best wishes for all of you. Praise be to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. We has given us the opportunity and help because of His permission. We can be here building an international course program, Studium General Psychology Master, Medan Area University, Understanding University Malaysia Kelantan. Keynote speaker by Professor Dr. Huzili bin Hussein. This ICP, International Course Program, Studium General, the topic or them, helping skills for the future, exploring coaching and counseling in psychology, is intended to be one of our scientific activities via online, postgraduate student held by Psychology Master Department at Universitas Medan Area, North Sumatra, Indonesia. Our greetings to the great Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Thanks to his struggle, we can gain beneficial knowledge. We would like to express our high appreciation to the respected Prof. Dr. Huzili bin Hussein, special appearance to knowledge sharing, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic and International of University Malaysia Kelantan and UNIMAP University, along with his respected rank. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce myself. I am Khairul Fauzan, respected serving as Vice Director for Postgraduate Medan Area University, or Wakil Direktur Bidang Penjaminan Mutu Akademik, Madam Dr. Baby Masito Batubara, Sarjana Sosial, Magister Administrasi Publik, respected serving as Head of Psychology Master Study Program, Madam Associate Professor Dr. Suryani Harjo, SPC Master of Art, Psychologist, respected serving as Head of Quality Control, Magister Psychology, Madam Dr. Salamiah Saridewi, Magister Psychology, respected lecturer and moderator ICP today, Sir Yudhistira Fauzi Indrawan, SPC Master of Art, PhD Psychologist, respected Sir Dr. Patisina STSH, Master Engineering, serving as a lecturer, coaching and counseling. Respected all students, Magister Psychology, University Medan Area, and then respected from Language and Digital Center with PPM KU, University Medan Area. Ya, sebelum kita mulai, saya mau coba pantun, karena kalau pantun ini harus dengan bahasa Indonesia ya. Pantun tidak ada dengan bahasa Inggris ya. Mungkin ini juga pantun untuk menyambut Profesor Huzili ya. Saya akan bawakan pantun. Indah berbalam si awan petang, berarak di celah pepohon ara, pemanis kalam selamat datang, awal bismillah pembuka bicara. Cakepnya belum ada ya. Ya, baik. Next, opening speech. From Dr. Baby Masito Batubara, Esos MAP, serving as Vice Director for Postgraduate Medan Area University. Welcome, Madam Dr. Baby.
Oke, baik. Thank you, Mr. Khairul Fauzan. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yang saya hormati dan yang saya muliakan, narasumber kita pada siang hari ini, Profesor Dr. Huzili bin Hussein. Salam kenal, Prof.
Ya, sah.
Ya, selamat datang di Universitas Medan Area di Pasca Sarjana Program Magister Psikologi.
Ya.
Untuk Ini mungkin kita bertemu di ruang Zoom, Prof. Mungkin jika ada langkah, Prof bisa berkunjung ke Pasca Sarjana Umat.
InsyaAllah bulan September nanti saya pergi sana.
Boleh, Prof.
Ada program di Medan. Ya,
September di Medan, kami tunggu ya, Prof.
ya, insyaAllah.
Kedatangannya langsung, nanti kita bisa ajak makanan enak yang ada di Medan. Baik, yang saya hormati Ketua Program Studi Magister Psikologi Ibu Dr. Suryano Harjo, kemudian yang saya hormati Kepala Bidang Inovasi dan Pembelajaran Bapak Khairil Fauzan, yang saya hormati Gugus Kendali Mutu, Magister Psikologi, Ibu Dr. Salamia Sari Dewi, kemudian yang saya hormati Bapak Dr. Yudhistira, selaku dosen pengampu mata kuliah Coaching and Counseling, kemudian yang saya sayangi para mahasiswa Magister Psikologi. Alhamdulillah, puji syukur kehadirat Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala yang memberikan kita ridho, rahmat, dan kasih sayangnya, sehingga kita dapat berkumpul di ruang Zoom yang berbahagia ini dalam acara workshop kegiatan mata kuliah kelas International Course Program ICP yang merupakan salah satu prasyarat untuk berdirinya di kelas ICP dengan tema Helping Skill for the Future, Exploring Coaching and Counseling in Psychology. Jadi baik Bapak dan Ibu, untuk di Magister Psikologi ini adalah satu-satunya kelas ICP yang dibuka oleh Pasca Sarjana Universitas Medan Area dan sudah terlaksana 3 semester. Jadi izin Prof, kelas ICP ini merupakan kelas unggulan dari program studi Magister Psikologi yang bertujuan untuk bisa menginternasionalisasikan program Magister Psikologi di kancah internasional. Jadi selama 3 semester, setelah giat dari para tim embassy, alhamdulillah kegiatan ini berjalan dengan lancar. Kemudian saya menyampaikan salam hormat dari Ibu Direktur Pasca Sarjana, Prof. Retno Astuti, untuk Prof. Dr. Huzili. Mohon izin, beliau berhalangan karena sedang menguji juga di program doktor Magister Dokter Ilmu Pertanian. Baik Bapak dan Ibu, ini mudah-mudahan ya menjadi salah satu kegiatan untuk bisa memenuhi capaian pembelajaran lulusan di mata kuliah Coaching and Counseling. Baik, mungkin itu saja yang bisa saya sampaikan. In closing, I wish you all an enjoyable time at the event. May it process smoothly and successfully. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Madam Dr. Baby Masito Batubara, SSMAP, and open speech ya, speech you all. Next, langsung pada acara ya kita experience dari Sir Yudhistira Fauzi Indrawan, PhD Psikolog.
Okay, thank you.
Lecturer at Faculty of Psychology and Magister of Psychology. Experience associate at Indigenous Psychology. Education background from Sir Yudhistira, undergrad, Universitas Gadjah Mada, Yogyakarta. Postgraduate University of Delhi, India. And doctoral program, University of Mysore, India. Welcome, sir. this moderator.
Thank you, Fauzan. So I'm so glad to meet Professor Dr. Huzili. Very good afternoon, Professor. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone here in the room. I would like to say thank you for, first of all, for joining us today for our Studium General on helping skills for the future, exploring coaching and counseling in psychology. Okay, so again, my name is Yudhistira Fauzi Indrawan, and I will be the moderator. Okay, so now we are going to dive into an insightful presentation on counseling and CBT. Okay, since, 1 second, since Professor Huzili is the guru of the CBT and counseling, right? And so I think it is a very, very, you are the right person right now to we invite a guru of counseling and CBT. So before we start off, I'd like to introduce Professor Hizili first. Okay, so okay, so you may correct me if I'm wrong, Professor. So Professor Dr. Hizili Hussein, he is a professor of counseling psychology with subspecialty cognitive behavior therapy.
Yep.
And he has served as Deputy Vice Chancellor, University Malaysia, Kelantan. Okay, and then so he is a head of Center of Excellence for Innovation and of Malaysia Counseling Association, of we call Pemadam. And she also has written 4 books and panel reviewer for some domestic and internal reputable journal. And so in terms of educational background, so Professor Dr. Hizili Hussein has BC, Bachelor of Art at Social Science at University of Malaya, and then so he continued his study, master in counseling at University of Malaya, and then he pursued the PhD in counseling psychology in University Science Malaysia. And then so right now, Professor, I think that you are so familiar with Indonesia because you are also the adjunct professor at Ubud University Indonesia. And in terms of the international acknowledgement, so you are also visiting scholar at University of Sindh in Pakistan. Yes. Okay. Okay, so is my voice not breaking up here? It's not a breaking up, the audio. Okay, so I may continue. And then so I think we have been with the very correct with with the I say once again the guru of counseling and CBT. So we'll share his thought and expertise on this topic. And please are yours, Professor.
Let me share my slide, please. Okay. Okay, I can share my slide. Satu sekejap. Macam mana slide? Ya. Isi dong. Sana di sini. Ada? Tak boleh lah, bukan. Tak boleh.
Oh, okay. Faham. Share balik. Screen.
Okay, so Khairil,
Wait lah, wait.
how's that?
Just start.
Would you just help us out to present the PPT?
PowerPoint. Cancel.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Setting. Allow, kena allow ni. So, tick allow. Yes, faster. Jai Ibrahim. No, later. Lepas tu try share balik.
Ya. Hello. Okay, semua dah nampak slide saya?
Oh,
Okay, you can see my slide?
okay.
Okay, good afternoon actually. I'm Huzli Hussein from University of Shell Kelantan. Thank you for inviting me for this kind of sharing knowledge related to the helping skills or what is called a counseling skill for the participant who join our webinar today. Actually, I'm the expert on the cognitive behavioral therapy, and previously my PhD also on CBT. I have a licensed practice from Beck Institute from Philadelphia. I attend the course of the CBT, so I would like to share my counseling skills related to cognitive behavioral therapy approach. First of all, we must understand that helping skills is what is called is a mandatory when we want to help the students or the client for that. For example, helping skill is not just a skills, but we need to learn how to do a better skill or good skill or appropriate skill when if we want to help the clients. So means if we are a counselor, or I mean a professional counselor or professional helpers, we need at least to practice one theory or one method, one approach to help to the students, to help to the client especially. So today I'm going to share with you how I use cognitive behavioral therapy approach to enhance our counseling skill or what is called helping skills to the client. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, wait. My slide cannot move here. Wait. Okay, now. Okay. I like this statement. Teaching is a powerful tool to learning. If you want to master something, teach it. The more you teach, the better you learn. Teaching is a powerful tool to learning. So what does that mean is, even though I hold the post of the Deputy Vice Chancellor at university, I still insist me to teaching. That's why inshallah, I will try to consider my time, to relocate my time well, to teach any platform, either in local or internationally, or all international related to my areas. That's why I accept this kind of invitation, because I love to teaching. Because you know why? Because when I teach to the audience, to the participant, inshallah, this is about very powerful to me to learning also. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we must understand that we have the 7 major perspectives of modern psychology. So, number 1, psychodynamic, behavioral, cognitive, biological approach, cross-cultural, evolutionary, and humanistic. So now I'm focusing on cognitive and behavioral. That's why
It's freezing there, Professor. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And what you pardon? You cannot hear my
Oh.
speech? You can hear.
Yeah. Okay. Carry on, Professor.
So cognitive and behavioral therapy is two of the major perspective of modern psychology. Okay, let me tell you something. My slide cannot move here. Okay, let me tell you something. From the research, we are talking about the research previously on counseling skill or helping skill. They are more focused at the age 1920 to 1970. They are focused on behavioral change. They are not focusing on cognitive changing. These are different things. So since 1920 to 1970, for example, in 1890, James, for example, they do some kind of research why people fear. Why people fear. So the conclusion of the research of the experiment is because they use grizzly bear to make fear to the somebody. So when they ask the person who participate from
It's
the
freezing,
of
Professor.
freezing, I think my line is not too clear.
Oh yeah, no, it's better right now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I think
Just continue, Professor.
my internet here not too clear. I'm not sure that because there's some disruption of the internet today, but it's okay then. So when we ask the researcher asked the person who participate from the experimental research, so they asked the fella, why you run from the grizzly bear? So he said, I'm scared, I fear. So that means they conclude when they conclude that the person run from the fear because of things. What is the thing? Is animal grizzly bear. So that means fear is becomes from the grizzly bear. That's why they fear. Okay. Also Pavlov. Pavlov do the classical conditioning. I think for the student, all the psychology student must learn from the classical conditioning of the Pavlov. Pavlov do some kind of research related to the salivate because the dog when we show them a bone or a meat, when they sniff the bone on meat, they will salivate. They will salivate. Salivate maksudnya keluar air liur. Salivate. So they try to do some kind of experiment to change of the method of salivate. They do some kind of hypothesis whether if you can use the bell ring, when the bell ring, we associate and we try to consolidate with bone and meat. It is when we for the end of the experiment, when we use the bell ring only, is it the dog come here, come to sniff or salivate because of the bell ringing? So they do concurrently. They use bone and meat and also the bell. So they do some concurrently. So when the bell ring, so they use they offer what's called stone and meat. So later on, again, they tried the experiment concurrently with the bell ringing and the stone and meat concurrently. So later on, when they are not produced or giving meat and stone, later on, the dogs and the group of the dogs and the animal come in front of the research center due to bell ringing. So means they know how to manipulate to make some kind of behavioral change. Only use the bell ringing instead of to give directly what is called stone and meat. So mean they are focusing on what's called behavioral change. Same like operant conditioning by Skinner and same like Watson and Renner, condition anxiety response, what's called little expert experiment. You can see, you can read more because I have a short of time. You can see, you can read more about the little Albert. You can type in the Google, what is a little Albert experiment? You will know that. And so I would like to differentiate because related to the counseling skill and helpers or helping skill. I want to differentiate who are counselors and psychotherapists. We must to understand. Sometimes they are quite, there's some kind of conflict or some kind of disagreement with like this kind of what is called terminology. Okay. Actually, psychotherapy is derived from the Greek word what is called therapia or meaning healing. That's why when the client come to the psychotherapy session, so they need for healing. Though there has been a lessening of this distinction, some years ago, counselors and psychotherapists were often perceived differently because due to some kind of conflict of terminology. Increasing counseling has come to be viewed as either the same as or similar to psychotherapy. So previously, when we do some kind of intervention to the participant or to the client, we use the term of psychotherapy. So what happened to the counseling session? However, because counseling and psychotherapy represent diverse rather than uniform knowledge and activities, it is more helpful to think that the terms mean counseling and psychotherapy approaches rather than single entity. So we must do concurrently, even the counseling and psychotherapy to help the client. Okay. For example, I will give an explanation example of psychotherapies. Possibly the term psychotherapy and psychotherapists are more used than counseling and counselor in medical setting. Sometimes we use in the medical setting, we use the term of psychotherapy for helping skills. That's why it's called psychotherapists, not use counseling. However, there is a blurring of this distinction. Ada sedikit kabur. Though most psychiatrists probably still view themselves as conducting psychotherapy rather than counseling. So setengah-setengah tu dia kata, oh dia buat psychotherapy, not a counseling. Is it betul atau tidak? So means psychotherapy is still a term used to discuss longer term and deeper work with mental disorder. Though this is not always the case, many psychologists and counselors work in medical setting, have a client with a recognized medical disorder, and do longer term and deep work. Okay, for example, in Malaysia practice, psychotherapy is what is called longer term period for those who have a case of what is called mental disorder. But counseling session in what is called in hospital setting, for example, the client was diagnosed as a cancer stage 4. They need to do some kind of operation. So how we try to console the client to accept this kind of fate? Not so easy to accept. When, for example, they had an accident, have to cut their legs, for example, lose their leg. So this is not too easy to accept it. So these are the role of the counselors in a hospital setting to help the client. But for the longer terms, if the client, what is called for the long period, for the prolonged period, they attach with a mental disorder. So means the role of psychotherapists in this kind of thing is very important. So we must to make sure that we know the differentiate between psychotherapies and counseling. Furthermore, the distinction between people who have mental disorder are as contrasted with problem of living is not clear-cut sometimes. Consequently, even in medical setting, the term counseling may be just as appropriate as psychotherapy. In Britain, for example, there has been a fairly recent development emphasizing the similarities between counseling and psychotherapy. For example, in 2000, the British Association for Counseling changed its name to become the British Association for Counseling and Psychotherapy. Dia panggil BACP. So BACP means what? British Association for Counseling and Psychotherapy. I don't know what happened in Indonesia, but in Malaysia we are still not merged. We are still not merged the terms of psychotherapy and counseling. So we have only dipanggil the Counseling Association of Malaysia only, ataupun Persatuan Counseling Malaysia, not Persatuan Counseling and Psychotherapy Malaysia. I don't know what happened in Indonesia. maybe they merge the two terms, or they only depends on the one terms, what is a single terms only, either in psychotherapy or in counseling. But in Malaysia practice, they use a single terms terminology. This is a counseling Persatuan Counseling Malaysia or Counseling Association in Malaysia. Okay.
Okay, Professor, we also don't merge psychotherapist and counselor here in Indonesia.
Oh, this is very good. Very so
Okay,
in
so
future,
perhaps we share the same experience. Okay, go
okay.
on, Professor.
Okay, thank you very much for your response. Mr. Yudhistira. For example, also in Australia, in 1998, the Psychotherapy and Counseling Federation of Australia was established. So they merged the terminology of the counseling and the terminology of psychotherapy also. Here as well commonalities there, because they have some kinds of commonalities ataupun persamaan. Some differences between psychotherapists and counselor are still acknowledged. Although they have some kind of the differences, they all acknowledge the differences, though it remains to be seen how long PECFA continues to make such distinction. Okay. And for example, I give you a second, for example, professional counselors and psychotherapists. Joshua, age 52, is an accredited counselor who works alongside doctors in a medical practice. Accredited counselor. He counsels patients with problems such as excessive stress, managing pain, and recovering from and preventing further heart attacks. Like, for example, I give you just now, right? Though much of his work is individual, when necessary, Joshua worked with couples and families. In addition, Joshua conduct a small private practice. So, Joshua, what is called a designation is accredited counselor, or in Malaysia dipanggil lembaga was registered under Lembaga Counsel Malaysia, and Joshua worked alongside with doctors. We have also this kind of practice at hospital, right? In Malaysia, they have a counselor work in a hospital setting. They call psychology officer, a psychology officer who help and stand along and stay alongside with doctors in the hospital setting. And also Rupa, 32, is a psychologist in the central office of Lush Bank, for example. Much of the time she is helping individuals to perform better and to manage setbacks and disappointment in their work and outside life. Some of the Rupa's time is spent in training staff group in work-related skill, such as customer relationship and interviewing, discretioning, and then what is called, in addition, Rupa advises and management and personnel policies and procedure. Okay. Now, I'm trying to focus on counseling skill. We have to remember why we use counseling skill. We have to understand that. I think we have the student participant also, Mr. Yudhistira, in our webinar series today. We have a student, right? Also.
So, yeah.
We
Yes,
have a
sir.
student also to participate. Okay, good, very good. Actually, why use counseling skill? We're supposed to understand in a nutshell, the main purpose of or goal of using counseling skill is that of assisting clients to develop personal skills. I'll always to give what is called intense attention to the student. Remember that to assisting client to develop, number one, personal skills and inner strength. So personal skill and inner strength so that they can create happiness in their own and others' life. That is the most important thing while you will use counseling skill. What is personal skills, for example? Personal skill means they know how to communicate well. They know how to do some kind of coping skill, for example. They know how to adapt and assimilate in the environment or in the any kind of ecosystem, for example. They know what is called the ethics of life, the ethics of, between culture, for example. So culture related issue, for example. So means they know what is the personal skills and inner strength. Inner strength for those, we do some kind of introspection. We do some kind of intervention to develop their inner strength, to develop their motivation, to develop their resiliency, to develop their what is called a belief system, for example. So when they know about they are well versed in the personal skills, and we are developed well on their inner strength, so that they can create happiness, not just to them, to him, to he or her, but the most important thing, and others' life. That means we can help others' life. So before we help people, we need to have we need to have ours first, ourselves first. So before we help the people, this is the mandatory and the most fundamental thing you must to understand. You must to understand why we use the main purpose of using counseling skill. Okay, number 2. Counselor and helper assist client to help themselves. As such, they use counseling skill to develop client's capacity to use their human potential both now and future. That's why we are talking about everybody have their kind of potential. We have to unleash their potential both now and future. We are believe that we are the best creatures was created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is the creator who creates human being. The best what is called the best creator was created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it means we have a potential. So we try to make sure that we try the best way, the best method, and the best intervention to develop client capacity to use their human potential both now and future. So counselor and helper use of counseling skill can be broken down into 5 different goals. Okay, so I will try my best to focus on what is the counseling skill in 5 different goals. Okay, number 1. For the counseling skill, the pillars of the counseling skill, it is the number 1 is supportive listening. What is supportive listening? Goal is to provide client with a sense of being understood and affirmed. Means they are not just listening, but the most understand is they have a sense of being understood. Some people, we do some kind of intervention or counseling session to our client sometimes, for example. They didn't feel that we understood of the information given to us. We are not as listening, even though we are listening. But the client feel that we are not understood and not firm. This is a different thing. That's why if you are a client, for example, if you tell story or any kind of information to your friend, you can feel that your friend is not listening, even though they are open ear to listen to you. Okay. So, for example, okay, I listen to you. But the way they use phone, for example, they use gadget, for example, or maybe the eyes penetrating of the eyes, not focused to the client. We can feel that, we can sense that they are not listening to us. That's why supportive listening doesn't mean that we listen to the information given to us, but we have a sense which is whereby the client feel that we understood. This is the most important thing. The client feel that, have a sense that we have understood. That is the most important thing. Attaining this goal require counselor and helper to be skilled at listening to client, taking their perspective. We must understand that their perspective and sensitively showing them that they have been heard accurately. Sensitively showing them that they have been heard accurately. So the client right to be heard appropriately and accurately. We must understand that. So macam biasalah kalau kita dengar klien, kita harus mereka rasa mendengari. wow, bestnya counselor itu karena dia mendengar. So, sebab tu counselling itu dia ajar paraphrase kan, dia ajar macam mana kita nak challenge question, how we want to interact, when is the best time to do some kind of interaction. We must know the skill. That's why when the client feel that we are not listening, so we are very dangerous because we don't do our part as for what is called counseling skill or helping skill to this client. That is the most important thing. That's why if the client is ready and the counselor is ready, is mature ready, now we can do some kind of counseling session when both are ready. So when we are not ready, please don't do the kind of what is called counseling session. For me, example, I have a lot of work to do. I have some kind of stress, maybe what's called working stress. So I didn't do some kind of what's called a counseling session because I'm not prepared to listening to any kind of information from the clients. So I'm not fair to the client, right? That's why I'm insist that we're supposed to have some kind of supportive listening, such as because we have a sensitively showing our gestures that they have been heard accurately. Okay.
Now, Professor, may I wait in?
Pardon?
Professor, may I
Yeah.
wait in? Okay, so this is the most problem we have when we listen to our client, and then some of us, perhaps they are getting busy with themselves, trying to analyze, okay, instead of listening to the entire story. And then so what happened then is that they try to intellectualizing or to analyzing the content of the story instead of understanding what is really happening to them. So, Professor, perhaps you just can give the tips for
Okay.
such cases.
Okay, this is very good questions. So for the introduction, we must understand that for the introduction, we must make sure that we have to build a trust to the client first. That's why when we do some kind of analysis or any kind of judgment, for example, or literally we want to some kind of rebut their belief the belief system or whatever it is, not in the initial stage, maybe on the middle stage or the end of stage. So we have a three parts. When we do some kind of counseling session, we have to remember that we have the counseling skills have to go through three levels: initial stage, medium stage, or intermediate stage, or the final stage. And final stage and a wrap up or conclusion. So means at the initial stage, we're supposed to listen first. Please don't make some kind of what is called judgmental, to do some kind of analysis, to do some kind of rebuttal of the information given or statement given by the client. No, it's not necessary. So the most important thing, you must supposed to understand, listening, and later on, you make some conclusion based on initial stage only. Please don't do some kind of analyze because this is not on the middle stage or in the final stage when we do some kind of session to the client. We must understand that. There's a taboo. If I teach to the client or any participant who join my class, this is taboo to me. Make sure on the initial stage, you have to show that you are supporting what is it called? What is called essential now? Supportive listening. That's number one. Okay. Are you okay, Yudhishthira? All right.
Thank you. Go on, Professor. It's so
Okay.
insightful.
Okay then. Actually, I'm sorry because I'm at the office now because my office on Thursday was closed 3:30. 3:30. I try my best because they will automatically close the electricity at 4. So before 4 p.m. I need to finish my presentation, right? Please, and then if don't mind, I can continue with my phone or whatever it is because I'm going back to my place. The driver will pick up to me at 4. I try my best. All right. Okay then. Okay, because I have a very constrained time today. I'm sorry to do that. All right. Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Or what?
Okay, so just do the best you can.
Okay, I try.
So,
Okay. Now, the second thing is managing a problem situation goal. Clients may want help dealing with specific situation. Now we are talking initial stage. I'm talking about initial stage. Or maybe slightly on a middle stage. Managing problem a situation goal. Clients may want help dealing with specific situation that are problematic for them. In addition, counseling and helping may best proceed if a specific situation within a larger problem is addressed rather than trying to deal with the whole problem. For example, with shy college student client, rather than focus on the broader problem of shyness, counselor and client might focus on particular shyness situation of importance to the client, such as being able to start a conversation with a classmate. You just imagine how good this kind of statement, because I refer to a few books, because dealing with a counseling skill. So sometimes, for example, she had what is called shyness situation. So the larger problem, the bigger problem is shyness. But is it we want to settle the larger problem? We just leave it. What is called the small problem, which is she didn't know how to communicate with people, and just leave it like that and focusing on the larger problem. No. So counseling skills is very very particular details on this kind of problem from the client. So I'm suggesting that we supposed to deal the small problem first instead of larger problem. So if you do some kind of shyness problem, we are not tackle about the larger problem, shyness issues, but we are particular details on conversation, how to communicate well with the client. Okay, for example, I have a marriage problem. This man, come to see me. So he told me about a lot of things related to their problem in their marriage. So when I try to cascade down, what is the most problem in their marriage with his wife? So he said that his wife, what is it called, very sensitive, and what is called unpredictably angry to him at any kind of issue, for example. So I asked him whether he has a skill to console wife, to what's called to pujuk dia lah, to give some kind of cakap, use the good words, for example. So giving some a gift to his wife, for example. He said what? Previously, I don't know how to tackle my wife. I just do some kind of my responsibility. I go to the works, and I just talk what is called the prime things only with my wife. I don't know how to make jokes with my wife, and I don't know to do some kind of a romantic attitude with my wife. That's all. So kata, oh tak boleh lah macam tu. We need to learn this kind of personal skills. That's why this is include of personal skills. Because the larger problem came from the single problem, the small problem. So we need to identify what is the small problem. For example, why people hate you? Why people dislike you? It's not the matters you are poor. It's not the matter you are, you are nerd, or for example. It is not the matter because you are arrogant, for example. But the matter, maybe you are not able to speak well to the people. Or sometimes you use the not appropriate words when you are talking with the people. So people hate you. People don't like to speak with you. That's why we need to learn this kind of personal skill. That's why I use I'm emphasizing here what is called in the previous slide. That's why what is the important thing of the counseling skill if we develop the personal skill, the most important thing. Right, we must understand that. That's why you have to know and to differentiate what is the personal skill first to entertain, but the personal skill first rather than to enhance their inner strength. All right, you understand? Okay. And the third issue, problem management goal. Though some problems are limited, many other problems can be larger and more complex than specific question within them. For example, Sophie's problem was that what she felt depressed. Together, the counselor and Sophie identify the following dimension to her problem: obtaining or creating employment for herself, being more assertive with her husband, participating in the recreational outlets, reactivating her friendship network, and learning to sleep better. So she felt depressed because of this kind of issues. So we need to teach Sophie how to learn to sleep better. Sometimes people don't know how to sleep better. What is called deep sleep. You know what? The minimum deep sleep at least, 2 hours deep sleep. The minimum at least. Kunci jam, tiba-tiba pukul 12 tidur, bangun jam 2:30 pagi. Rasa segar. Oh, gagah. That's called deep sleep. Tapi kalau kita tidur 9 malam, asyik bangun kencing, pergi tandas, jawab phone, pergi sana, go around and sana. Can you cannot sleep? You want to eat again? You eat Maggie or whatever it is. So you cannot sleep well. So why the most important thing is sleep better. So we use the measurement of sleep better is a deep sleep. Deep sleep. You are totally asleep. We have a thunder or heavy rain or whatever it is. You know what is that? You know what is that? You just sleep better. That's called a sleep. And for example, reactivating her friendship network. We withdraw. We don't want to see the people. That's why we depressed. Sometimes we didn't go recreational outlet. We don't want to engage with some kind of people. We hate to see more people. So that's why we need to, to cater and resolve this personal skill first, rather than to enhance inner strength. So that's why we need to understand that. What is the important issue of counseling skill? So we need to settle the superficial first, before we go to deeper on what? Before we go to deeper on what? On enhancement of inner strength, such as resiliency, motivation, or whatever. Okay. Number 4, that's called altering poor skill that create problem with goal. Other terms for poor skill include problematic, such as deficient or insufficiently effective skill. Here, the assumption is that problems tend to repeat themselves. In the past, clients may have been repeating underlying mind skill and communication or action skill deficiencies and are at risk of continuing to do some again. For instance, workers who keep moving jobs may again and again set themselves up to become unhappy or to get fired. Another example is that of clients poor at public speaking who require skill both for now and future. Thus, the problem is not just a presenting problem, but the poor skill that creates, sustain, or worsen the problem. So we need to settle the problem first. We need to settle the problem. If you need a public speaking skill, we need to teach them the public speaking skills. And if we have some kind of problem to get a job, we must to make sure that they have the skill to find a good job. And maybe maybe they need to see what is called career counselor to give or some kind of better what is called opinions and better choice, and maybe mapping with what is called their attitude and their interest of the job selected. So it's up to them. So that's why sometimes we are what is called we are so hurry. Sometimes I always remember to my student, sometimes we are so hurry to conclude our session. Sometimes we are very hurry to analyze, to make some kind of judgmental of our session. You want to finish, but we didn't hear what is called the whole perspective of the problem. That's why we need to understand the whole perspective of the problem first, rather than we analyze and do some kind of what is called intervention. For example, you just talking with them around 1 hour, then you make some kind of judgment or some kind of analysis, or you have some kind of depression, you have some kind of issue of angry. You need to do some kind of intervention to reduce your angry, for example. You have some kind of anxiety, you have some kind of stress, for example. But we must to see the bigger picture first, rather than we focus to the larger problem within their soul or within their body, what is called inner strength just now. All right. So number 5, bringing about a change philosophy of life goal. Clients can competently manage problem situation. Okay, they boleh manage problem situation, manage problem and alter problematic skill as a way of life. Such people might be termed self-actualization, fully functioning or even enlightened when they are able to achieve change philosophy of life. Itu kadang-kadang ada orang boleh je jumpa session 2 jam, 3 jam, okay, boleh manage problem. But ada setengah-tengah tu we can go deeper. Dia panggil self-actualization. Dia sedar, oh begitu. Okay, for example, I give you a situation. Marriage problem also. They have some kind of worry. I'm quite worried with my marriage. I'm scared to divorce. So when I ask them, what do I understand about worry? What you understand about worry? So he cannot elaborate well. What is the worry? So I use the perspective of religion perspective. So I give the perspective of religion. So I told him that this world is for what is called a rival test or any kind of negative matters will involve you for the prolonged period. Ini tempat ujian, tempat kesusahan. The dunia, the world for difficulties. So we need to do some kind of engagement. We need to settle, we need to understand that the difficulties in this world is what is called is a reality. Everybody must have and to face if difficulty and test. This is a reality. So it's okay. You have tests in marriage. You have tests in what is called in chronic illness, for example. You have tests because you get fired from your manager or your department. So different tests. You have a test with an accident, for example. So we have a test. So we're supposed to understand that not just you have a tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but everybody have tested from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's fine. I have some kind of tested previously, for example. So maybe and sure the events or the situation of God tested me is different to others. So we must understand the what is called to differentiate of the tested and difficulties among other people are very different. So that's why that is called self-actualization. Self-actualizing because they know, oh my God, previously I'm not understand clearly about the test and difficulty of life. So I mean, it doesn't stop. When you finish this kind of difficulty and test, and again they will test you again, and again you will test it again. So that means you have to be prepared. That's why we need we need to do some kind of what is called to help client to develop their personal skill and inner strength. That's why the two things, personal skill and inner strength. This is the most important thing, all right? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, a few things about, very short things about what is CBT. Actually, CBT, what is called one of the method we use to do some kind of approach intervention. I give, I mean, a brief history about, or a view about the CBT. Actually, CBT was developed by Aaron Beck, which is their very good background on psychotherapy in the 1960s and 1970s. Previously, the name is this is not the name of CBT. So probably they have a what is called cognitive therapy. If you read a book related to cognitive therapy, they have a lot of book of cognitive therapy. Now we use CBT because we are related to the behavioral change based on what is called mind setting. Okay. Back device structure short term. CBT is very short term. Present-oriented psychotherapy for adaptation for depression previously, and this adaptation have changed the focus, techniques, and length of treatment, but the theoretical assumption themselves have remained constant. Okay. So back drew on multiple sources lah, dia banyak guna sources lah, Albert Ellis, Richard Lazarus, and so on. Okay. What is CBT? Some forms of CBT share characteristics back therapy, but their formulation and emphasis in treatment vary to some degree. Kalau kita tengok, contoh, Ellis, dialectical behavioral, problem solving therapy, acceptance and commitment therapy, exposure therapy, cognitive processing therapy, cognitive behavioral analysis system of psychotherapy, behavior activation, cognitive behavioral modification, and others. So these things are characteristic of back therapy. The form of CBT and the other characteristic back therapy is based on cognitive. Tetapi dia formulation and emphasis in treatment, dia ada cara berbeza. Cara buat intervention berbeza, but the characteristic of the back therapy, itu CBT adalah sama. Sebab tu, kita tahu bahawa dia berdasarkan kepada, cuba tengok sini ayat bawah sekali, the form of CBT derived from Beck's model often incorporate technique from all this therapy as well as other evidence-based psychotherapy within a cognitive framework. So CBT ini ialah dia berdasarkan kepada cognitive framework. Okay, saya bagi contoh. Okay, sebagai contoh. Ini saya skip. Biasa dia, cuba tak apa, saya tengok. Dia biasa dia pakai 45 to 50 minutes. My session is 1 hour. Okay, my session is 1 hour. Okay. Okay. What is CBT? What is the theoretical model of CBT? Bagi contoh. In a nutshell, the cognitive model proposed that dysfunctional thinking, which influences of client mood and behavior, is common to all psychological disturbance. Dia kata, biasanya bila orang mengalami masalah psychological disturbance, dia akan menghadapi masalah dipanggil dysfunctional thinking. They cannot think well, which is influences the client mood and behavior. So when they do some kind of, they have a problem with the dysfunctional thinking, tidak dapat berfikir dengan waras, menyebabkan perubahan pada mood and behavior. So contoh, when people learn to evaluate their thinking in more realistic and adaptive way, they experience a decrease in negative emotion and maladaptive behavior. For example, if you were quite depressed and had difficulty concentrating and paying your bills, you might have been an automatic thought and idea that, oh, I can do anything right. Oh, I feel sad. So when you put this kind of what is called statement or wording within your mind, that means automatically you have what is called deeply influences by the cognitive framework negatively. That's why kita tak boleh kata saya tak boleh. That's why kita tak boleh guna perkataan sorry, saya tak boleh. Kita change pada I try my best. I will do my best. Sebab tu perkataan tidak boleh ini. Maaf Pak, tidak boleh Pak. Maaf Pak, tidak boleh. Saya tidak bisa Pak. So tidak bisa ini connotation yang memberi pada yang menyebabkan kita membesarkan cognitive framework kita itu on negatively. Kalau tanya, boleh buat. Even saya Deputy Vice Chancellor at University Malaysia. I number 2 in university. So I cannot say that cannot. I try my best. I'm listening to you. You have right to be heard. That is a very nice word if you want to use to the client. So they will comfortable. Comfortable. Because we try our best not to use this kind of negativity words, which is can, what is it called? Interfere our good mind, our mind. All right? Okay then. So CBT says that it is not the event which causes our emotion, but how we interpret that event, what we think or what we mean we give that event situation. So maknanya, saya bagi contoh. Ini CBT model. Situation. Okay, I give you what kind of situation, for example. Okay, for example, at early morning, ini example, not me, I give only the situation. Example. Early morning, I meet my boss. Ini example, not true story. Don't do some kind of conclusion about my story. Early morning, saya bangun, jumpa bos. Then, bos masam. Sour face. Not in a good face. Masam. So, my thoughts can be divided by 2. If dysfunctional thinking influences is my mind, so my thought we interpret. What is interpretation? I will interpret that my boss dislike me because tidak senyum, because of dysfunctional thinking. So when we say that dislike me, what happened to our emotion? Sad. What happened to our behavior? We don't want to see boss again. What is called physical sensation? Our heartbeat now very fast. So we feel tired. So because we have dysfunctional thinking, we interpret based on dysfunctional thinking. Okay. Now, the second example. The same situation. Boss tak tegur saya. Didn't give any smile to me. But my thoughts is functional thinking, not dysfunctional. So I said, I'll interpret. Oh, bos tak nampak tadi tu. Ataupun mungkin bos pun ada problem. Mungkin bos dia tak perasan saya tadi. So what happened to my emotion? My emotion, okay, good. I didn't feel sad. I'm okay. What is behavior? Sejam lagi ke, 2 jam lagi ke jumpa bos, saya akan kata, okay bos, apa khabar? Mungkin dia akan tegur ataupun tak tegur lagi pun tak apa. And what happened to our physical sensation? So physical sensation is okay. Don't have any fast beat or any kind of what is called feel numb or whatever. We have a problem with stomach, diarrhea, or because we have a stress, for example. So that is not what is called the big issue when we are practicing functional thinking, rather than we are influenced by dysfunctional thinking, because it depends on how we interpret of the situation. Okay, lagi saya bagi contoh. Dalam macet tu jam, traffic jam, macet, betul traffic jam, macet. Bila macet, ada seorang penumpang itu keluar daripada kereta menjerit-jerit, gila ini, gila. Aku sudah bosan dengan ini, macet. Bila orang tanya, why you get scold? Why you get angry? Kenapa awak marah? Dia kata, because it's macet. Kerana macet ini, hari-hari ini macet ni. Dan saya tanya orang lain, kenapa orang lain tidak marah-marah? Kenapa orang lain tidak stres tinggi sangat? Pahalanya macet juga. So that's why yang marah-marah tadi, dia interpret situation of the macet kerana dipengaruhi oleh dysfunctional thinking. Kalau kita yang mengalami functional thinking ini dengan bagus, bila macet, kita akan kata, oh lama ni macet ni, mungkin 1 jam ni. Tak apalah, saya matikan kereta dulu. Saya keluar, pergi keluar-keluar atau sebagainya. Ataupun lebih baik saya dengar muzik, ataupun saya tengok Quran ke, saya nak hafal ayat-ayat 2-3 perkara, ataupun I do some kind of email or whatever it is, I use my laptop, because we know how to settle this kind of problem, because we interpret well of the kind of any bad things of situation. Relax je. Ada orang marah kerana tertinggal bas. Tetapi kerana tertinggal bas itulah dia tidak terlibat dengan kes 15 mahasiswa yang meninggal dunia kerana berlaku aksiden di Malaysia baru ni. Kerana tertinggal bas. That's why kalau kita ajar klien kita, it's okay. Kalau kita tertinggal bas ke, kita tak dapat kerja di sini ke, kalau kat mana-mana pun, you kena cool down, it's okay. Because ujian pada ketika itu, jangan kita terjemahkan pelik-pelik. Yang paling penting, you cool down and keep cooling. And then lepas ni, istighfar banyak-banyak, mungkin ada peluang lagi yang perlu kita belajar. That's all. That's why even tu saya jadi Deputy Vice Chancellor dengan kerja lagi, dengan meeting, very hectic, you know what. Tapi Alhamdulillah, I still can give some kind of what is called sharing session with you at Medan, Indonesia. You know why? Because I feel comfortable to teach, I feel comfortable to share, because Alhamdulillah, the interpretation of the work ethic, I did well on interpretation of work ethic. I didn't blame everybody, because that's called functional thinking rather than dysfunctioning thinking. Okay, are you understand, all of you? Boleh faham ke ni saya cakap ni? Nampak diam saja semua ni?
Boleh.
It's
Boleh.
sir.
So far boleh, you can cope Boleh?
Alhamdulillah, Prof.
Alhamdulillah. Macam saya mengajar lah pula ini, macam bukan keynote speaker ni, I'm teaching. But I love to share. So you need to understand this kind of thing. That's why CBT is very famous. When we do some kind of intervention to the client, and very fast, because we understand that we teach the client to interpret well. For example, Bapak kena makan obat ini diabetik. Untuk kencing manis atau diabetik, Bapak kena makan obat ni. Ada orang, oh sudahlah aku kena macam ni. Aku tak mau makan obat kerajaan, obat ini, aku mau obat kampung saya. Tapi ada orang, oh thank you doktor, at least saya dapat makan ubat itu untuk sihatkan saya, boleh laksanakan kerja dengan baik. Dan saya percaya bahawa mati itu bukan disebabkan diabetik saja. Ada mati sebab aksiden, ada mati sebab mati dalam tidur, ada mati di laut, ada mati itu. Tetapi ubat ini diberikan ala khas untuk supaya penyakit kita tidak jadi mudarat. Itu je. Baru dia faham, oh ya, ini dikaitkan dengan mati. Semuanya sadar, akan mati kamu. Mati itu bukan disebabkan oleh kerana ubat itu. Tapi mati itu disebabkan oleh ajal. Ajalnya adalah kita tak tahu apa ajal seseorang itu. That's why CBT ini teach client how to interpret well at any kind of situation. Terjemah betul-betul. Contoh lagi. Saya balik rumah, ni contoh bukan betul ni. Saya balik rumah, isteri marah-marah. Sikit dia marah. Dia kata, abang, makan nasi. Saya kata, tak maulah. Saya sudah makan. Oh, saya masak letih-letih. Awak tak makan. Kenapa awak tak makan? Saya dah masak ke awak. Makanlah sikit. Saya kata, saya tak maulah. Cukuplah. Dah kenyang. Tak boleh. Tapi saya pun mula buat interpretation atas situasi tersebut. Oh, wajar isteri saya marah. Kerana dia dah Masak letih-letih. Sudah 8 jam tak jumpa saya. 9 jam tak jumpa saya. They need somebody to talk. So I say, okay, sorry. I makan. Okay, now kita makan sama-sama ya. So settle. Ini mau lawan juga. Mau wrestling tu. Lawan. Jadi konflik terbina. Konflik. Sebab tu kita relax. Sebab tu orang yang mengamalkan CBT ini, dia boleh jadi romantik. Dia boleh jadi tenang. Dia boleh jadi tidak pemarah. Kerana the interpretation of the situation is very well. Accordingly. Alright. Okay. So, saya minta maaf. Ada lagi nota-nota yang saya kena pergi sebab sekarang sudah hampir jam 6 minit pukul 4. Saya kena stop the session. Saya kena keluar ni sebab saya kena keluar office. Sebab masa yang betul. Saya harap you can discuss well dengan panduan daripada facilitator lain. Okay. Saya nak buka pada any question kalau ada soalan.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Professor Rizli, for the informative and engaging presentation. We actually would like to go further to the Q&A session. But so right now, I would like to go to Aidil Fauzan since Professor So has left room and there is nothing we can... Oh, Professor is still... Oh, thank God.
Any question?
Okay, so right now is Q&A session. Oh, raise your hands, Raka.
I bagi masa berapa minit untuk tanya soalan.
Okay.
Lepas tu saya left
Now, Raka?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Tanya dalam bahasa Indonesia boleh. Tanya
Okay,
dalam
so
bahasa
you may ask the question in Bahasa, it's fine. Professor
Indonesia
Rizli
pun okey. Okay, fine.
does understand you.
Ya, okay. Boleh cakap
Okay.
bahasa Indonesia boleh. Okay.
Thank you for the moment. I'm sorry I cannot on my camera. I'm so
Yes,
sorry.
fine.
Yes, fine.
Okay,
And
so
then-
brief and clear, Raka, please.
Yes.
Keep your
Yes,
question
yes, sir.
brief and clear.
Yes. Okay. Professor, I would like to ask how technology, like example AI, virtual reality, mental health apps, will change the every essence of helping skills. Is there a risk of losing the human touch or deep empathy? And then also, could you explain your view on the holistic philosophical value of coaching and counseling and their over?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, tak apa saya respon dalam bahasa Indonesia. You have to remember that AI or any kind of technology cannot compete with what is called face-to-face interaction with the client.
Yes.
Because AI cannot analyze sense of the client. I can feel that. So
Okay,
AI
thank you, Professor.
AI cannot detect the sense of the emotion. That's why if any kind of what is called technology development of AI, so the terms of services in psychology, they are not disrupted by the technology. Tidak. Dia tidak menghalang. Maknanya, kalau contoh kerja pemandu ke, kerja di mana-mana kantor ke di mana-mana, boleh diganti kalau ada AI. Tapi soal penasihatan, soal counseling services, counseling session tidak boleh diganti dengan AI, tetapi perlu ada human being interaction. Either pakai WhatsApp, pakai guna WhatsApp ke, pakai guna telefon ke, pakai guna counseling pakai guna Zoom ke, whatever it is, but still human interaction.
Okay, since the professor have only another 2 minutes and
Okay. I nak jawab soalan kedua tadi. Dia kata tentang filosofi. For me,
another question, Pak Sugianto.
Yeah.
Do you have a question? Okay, so It seems that nobody has a question right now. Okay. Okay, so Professor Ruzili, and then I think to wrap up today's discussion, let me summarize some of the key takeaways from our session. And it is so insightful to find out that CBT is actually not only the counseling, which is integrated with CBT, is not only just a superficial healing process, but so it takes changing the dysfunctional thinking into functional thinking. And also there are very interesting parts which actually you just mentioned that there are three phases of stages in the counseling. So initial stage, middle stage, and final stage in which you have to pay your attention to. And so also there is another things which that CBT actually focus not only general issue, but so you got to go down to the particular problem and so try to make the larger issue into the single problem, which can be hope and okay. So perhaps I just don't have many conclusion, but anyway, so this presentation is quite insightful. And Professor, are you still there?
Ya,
with
okay
us?
then. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, see you.
So,
Mohon
yeah,
maaf
thank you
kerana
very
tidak
much
dapat.
for your, for your
Tapi ini
being here.
sudah
Yeah.
hampir 1 jam saya cakap sudah dekat
Yeah, almost 1 hour.
also 1 hour.
But we do hope that you just can come again because yeah, there are still some topics which still feel curious about to find out.
Okay, insyaAllah. Jumpa lagi. Ketemu lagi, Pak.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, so
Assalamualaikum.
now I go to Fauzan. Thank you, Professor.
So I leave it
And,
the Zoom session, Okay then. Okay, bye.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Okay, Fauzan.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yeah. Thank you very much for attention. Thank you very much knowledge sharing. Yeah. From Professor Dr. Huzili bin Hussein. Thank you very much from Mr. Yudhistira. Ya, ini Profesor Huzili sudah keluar ya? Oke, sudah keluar ya. Jadi Bapak Ibu mungkin boleh sebagai penutup ya, saya ingin menyampaikan. Tapi bisa jadi masih ada pertanyaan sepertinya ya Pak Yudhis ya.
Oh,
dari mahasiswa.
Tons of question actually.
Iya.
We still have a question, especially.
Mungkin nanti bisa ke Pak Yudhis juga langsung ya, atau ke Pak Pasisina ya. Oke, baik.
Yeah, perhaps you just can ask the question, so I just can, transfer your question to Professor.
Okay. Prof. Huzili.
He is your guide, your PhD guide, that you just can keep in touch with him. Okay.
Insya Allah. Pak Yudhis. Jadi izin Bu Yaya, Bu Dewi dan semua mahasiswa ya. Tadi disampaikan bulan 9 beliau akan ke Medan ya. Memang informasinya akan ke Medan. Mungkin kita nanti bisa ini ya Pak ya, Memorandum of Understanding atau agreement, karena beliau wakil rektor. Jadi Chancellor Academic and International Deputy Vice ya. Jadi dia kalau di Indonesia itu wakil rektor bidang akademik. Nah, kalau kita di UMA Bu Sherly ya, atau kalau di Pasca Sarjana Bu Baby saat ini ya. Nah, jadi mungkin bisa saja ya Pak, nanti akan kita buat discuss kembali, atau mungkin bisa beliau hadir pada saat ke UMA. Kita buat Memorandum of Understanding bersama UMA dan University Malaysia Kelantan. Ya. Bu Yaya, ada yang mau disampaikan Bu? Sebagai penutup mungkin Bu, Ibu Ketua Prodi.
Iya. Oh, jangan aja
Iya
tutup.
Bu, langsung
Silakan.
tutup aja Bu ya. Sudah selesai ya Bu ya. Iya. Alhamdulillah juga tadi Pak Patisina hadir ya, Bu Dewi hadir dan dari Universitas hadir. Eh, Tadi saya di awal juga membuka memakai pantun ya, jadi saya tutup juga dengan pantun ya. Untuk Bapak Ibu dosen dan semua mahasiswa, di atas dahan burung tempura melihat rusa di tepi perigi.
Cakep.
Cakep kali.
Salam perpisahan untuk semua. Di lain masa kita bersua lagi.
Cakep.
Ya, di akhir-akhir baru pada cakep ya.
Nggak ada foto Bang Zan.
Gimana Pak?
Nggak ada foto ya.
Udah di foto tadi Pak.
Oke,
Langsung
oke.
diambil.
Oke.
Udah diambil.
Ya
Boleh
sudah,
kalau kita
kita-
mau foto lagi boleh. Kalau kita mau foto
Sudahlah,
lagi mungkin
sudah.
dengan senyuman terbaik.
Oh, mau
Boleh
foto lagi.
dipandu Bang Rido. Open cam semua ya. Ya,
Oke,
biar
boleh.
biar saya hitung
Open
ya.
cam semua,
Atau
Bapak
Mas Rido
Ibu.
hitung ya.
Ya,
Open cam.
dihitung ya.
Izin pakai kaos ya, Mas Fauzan.
Oke,
Ya.
siapa? 1, 2, 3. Ntar, slide kedua. Yang slide kedua, depan. 1, 2, 3. Oke, terima kasih.
Ya. Baik, terima kasih Mas Rido. Alhamdulillah kita sudah di akhir acara ya. Sepertinya memang Prof. Huzili sedang sangat busi ya, sedang sibuk sekali ya. Jadi, tapi yang penting kita sudah dapat pensyarahan dari beliau, dapat ilmunya. Nanti materi akan kita share di grup kelas masing-masing ya. Dan tadi alhamdulillah Mas Rido sudah membuat live streaming. Bisa apa ya, ada record ya, ada rekamannya untuk YouTube ya, jadi bisa menjadi media promosi untuk kita semua. Terima kasih atas perhatiannya Bapak Ibu semua. Terima kasih juga Bu Baby yang masih ada di Zoom ya. Terima kasih Ibu Dr. Sileni Harjo, juga Ibu Dr. Solemia Sari Dewi, Pak Yudhistira PhD yang telah membawakan acara ini dengan sangat baik, dan Pak Patisina juga berhadir sebagai tim teaching dalam mata kuliah coaching and counseling. Sampai bertemu kembali di international course program atau mungkin public lecture di semester yang akan datang. Terima kasih sekali lagi atas semua atensi dan perhatiannya. Semoga bermanfaat apa-apa yang sudah disampaikan pada hari ini. Saya tutup dengan wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Pak Fauzan, terima kasih semuanya.
Terima kasih,
Terima kasih dari Malaysia. Terima kasih
Ya,
Coach Dayan
sama.
dari Malaysia. Bu
Dayan.
Ya, Pak
ada
Fauzan,
hadir
terima
ya.
kasih.